Welcome Home, a podcast for veterans about veterans by veterans, is a project of Willing Warriors and the Warrior Retreat at Bull Run.
Good morning. I'm your host, Larry Ziliaks, Director of Culinary Services here at the Warrior Retreat at Bull Run. And this week, our guest is Virginia Giordano. She is the CEO and founder of the Barbara Giordano Foundation, which is based out of New York, and it's a nonprofit that works with female veterans and provides services to female warriors that need help. And so I'm so happy that she's joining us, because every time I run across a veteran service organization that supports our women warriors, I really want to have them on, because when you look at the veteran population as a whole, our women veterans are underserved on almost every level. So, Virginia, welcome to the podcast.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
So if you would, tell us a little bit about the background of the organization and how you came to found it.
Well, I'd be happy to do that. The fact is that the organization, the Barbara Giordano Foundation, which is actually named after my sister, who was in medicine and among other things, and it was really her idea to put together an organization that supported women in general. So the organization this year is actually 30 years old. However, we've not always focused on women veterans. We started that about 8 years ago, because even though none of us on the board were women veterans at that time, we were doing some research, and we kept coming across the fact that women veterans really did not have the same resources that men veterans did. And so we decided to narrow our focus to just women veterans and to support them by providing them with holistic wellness opportunities that they were not able to access other places, and do everything for free for them, by the way, working with all women to women who serve. We were shocked actually to get that there are over 3 million women veterans in the United States, and probably now more, that the statistics that go along with the women veterans were really disheartening. That more women veterans commit suicide than their male counterparts, that more women veterans are homeless than their male counterparts, that more women veterans are underemployed than their male counterparts. So we felt it was really a need that needed to be addressed. So that's why we have taken this on.
What is the core program that you guys offer?
Well, as I said, holistic wellness, proven modalities of holistic wellness. So, for example, during COVID, obviously, like most other organizations, we did everything online. Now we're back into doing holistic wellness retreats in person for the women who served. And as I said, we only work with the women. We do not have men veterans participate in our programs, etc. But so we offer things like equine therapy, EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques, reflexology, things like that, things that we know are proven and that they work, and that the women can really work on themselves. Because what happens is that a lot of women either don't have access to services that might some of these, or they don't go to the VA for various reasons. And so we are filling in those gaps. We're not looking to replicate out there. We're looking to fill in those gaps. And we're looking to solely focus on women veterans so that they really feel welcomed and they feel safe, because I think that that's a really big issue for a lot of the women. And so all of our practitioners are incredible, well-known really all over the United States, if not the world. And so we only use female
Is this program available? Is it in person, or is it available online, or like through Zoom?
Well, some of the programs that we do are online. And as I said, during COVID, everything was online. And we were averaging about 40 programs a year online, which is a lot. And now the things are, but the women were saying, and we would listen to them, which is I just have to tell you this quick story. When we first started to think about that, we would focus just women veterans. We decided that we would spend the first year or so not just putting up programs, but to actually speak to the women, to find out what it was that they needed.
Mm.
And the first two women veterans that we spoke to, they actually came an hour late to our meeting. And then they came, they said, listen, we weren't sure we were going to come because we didn't know if you were sincere or not. So when we told them, what we wanted to do and that we wanted to ask them first what they needed, they were shocked because they said, usually people don't ask us what we need. They tell us what they think we should need. And so, but we spent that first year just really speaking to women veterans. So what we do, most of it now is based on what the women are telling us, either direct or indirectly, that they need. For example, we just did a program on clutter because a lot of the women seem to have an issue with being able to let go of things, various reasons. And so we did a series of on clutter. And our workshops, as I said, over COVID, were all online. But now some of our workshops are online and some of them now are in person because we feel that there's a real value in women getting together and meeting each other. And what happens, like, for example, our last workshop, which was back in November in New York, it was 3 days, and women came from Texas and Florida and North Carolina, as well as New York. And they just had, not only did they learn a lot, but they had a wonderful time because they connected with other women veterans from other parts of the country who obviously shared their experiences. So it was really an incredible program, but also it was just incredible to see them all together and how happy they were to be together because they all understand each other.
How often do you run these in-person programs?
Well, the in-person retreats, as I said, are 3 days. And so and because everything is free to the women, it runs a lot of money for the foundation to have to do this. So the 3-day in-person retreats, we do 4 times a year, one every season. Now we have another one coming up in April 17th, 18th, and 19th. So we're just beginning to advertise for that. So if anybody's interested in participating, they just have to go to giordanofoundation.org and or follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see that we will be posting information about that. And then it's a very simple process. As I said, they don't have to pay anything. They simply have to fill out this form for us, this questionnaire. And because we want to make sure that the people who are participating are the ones that really not only need it, but they know what they want to get out of it. So there is the questionnaire that they have to complete. But that's all.
Mm-hmm. And listeners, that webpage is giordanofoundation.org. So that is GIORDANO foundation.org, foundation.org. So
that's correct.
Please go to the webpage, take a look at the resources, everything that they offer. It is a webpage that is like all veteran service organizations. You're going to see that make a donation button up there at the top. I want everybody to bang on that and donate. Give what you can. Our female veterans, our women veterans are underserved. Here's an organization that's focused entirely on providing services to them. They have been
around. Also say that they can also give us a call if they have questions, and because sometimes going online is difficult for some people for various reasons, but you can always give us a call at 914-686-8002. And if we're not available at that moment, we will definitely get back to you and answer any questions that you have.
And while you're at the webpage, copy that URL and send it to your battle buddies. Send it to those that you served with and say, look, if you know of a woman veteran who's struggling or is working hard to overcome PTS or just any issues, trust issues, moral injury, anything, please send them this resource. It's just, you need to get the word out as best they can, especially for this April event that's coming up. How many seats are there? How many veterans can take advantage of this?
That's a great question. For this retreat, we're actually limiting it to 15 women veterans. Now, the reason why we've done that is because the women have told us that part of the reason why they like coming to these retreats is that they really feel that it's not overwhelming. It's not 100 people in a room and that kind of a number, or 50, that's too many. They feel that they really get seen and heard and that they really bond. So we deliberately have kept it to a small number, a relatively small number. Now, what we want to do ultimately, right now, as I said, we're doing a season, but what we want to do is two things. One of them is that we want to be able to provide more of these in-person retreats in more often than just once a season. But as I said, because it is free to the women, it is an expense to the foundation that we take on. And we're happy to take it on because the work is really important. But the other thing that I really want to tell everybody is that ultimately our goal of the foundation is to build an actual physical retreat center, holistic wellness retreat center, just for women veterans. So that women all over the country, and we say also all over the world, can come to the retreat center and get all of these holistic modalities that they need in order to support their wellness journey. So that has been our goal actually almost from the very beginning. And so we're really focused on that. So we are looking for a location. We're looking for sponsors to help us to do that. We have worked out the details and the plans, and we know what we want to have there for the women, and we just have to find the right location.
Where is the right location?
We're open to it. Because we are located in New York. Initially, we thought, well, it should be in New York because we're here, and the women can come here. But we have been offered property in West Virginia, and that was fabulous. It just didn't work out for some reasons. So. But it was a learning experience for us, I have to say, because it made us understand that we really didn't have to stay in New York for our retreat center in order for us to be able to make it a success. And so we're open to wherever we can get the appropriate land and the support for it. We're open because, as I said, we do have the plans for it. We know exactly what we need to have and how we need to do it, and we just need the right partners.
So are you looking for vacant property or for a structure on property, or what ideally would you want?
Well, ideally, it would be that there is already a structure on it that we can adapt. However, in West Virginia, it was just the property. And but we found that there were a number of organizations in West Virginia that would have been happy to help us to build the structure, because we do have the plans for the structure. We know what we need to have in those buildings. And so it can work either way, actually.
Well, listeners, there you go. If you know somebody who would like to donate property or donate an estate or facility, and put it in the will, or maybe your parents just passed away and you're wondering what to do with that property, here's a thing you can do with it. You could donate it, and hopefully, it will work for them. At a minimum, let's say it doesn't work for them, they could sell it and use that money to buy other property or to build somewhere. So think about that. I know we always talk about making that donation and banging on that donate button, but there's other ways here to help women veterans, and that is one of them. So think about that. Or if your company is looking to get behind an organization and sponsor something, have them reach out and make that call and find out how they can help. Again, the webpage is giordanofoundation.org. Virginia, what do you see as the really the number one thing that women veterans come to you issue-wise and say, is it PTS? Is it military sexual trauma? What do you think is the number one issue for our women veterans today?
That's a really good question. What we keep hearing, and one of the things that became very clear at the last in-person retreat was now that, as I said, these women came from different states, that every one of them had been subjected to military sexual trauma and post-traumatic stress.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. And so that was surprising in a way to some of us because their experiences, they were all different ranks and they were different branches of the service, and yet they had such similar experiences in terms of how they were treated. So I think that those two issues are huge, but I think the other issue is that most people don't even realize how many women are involved in the military, have sacrificed so much. When we think about veterans, we always think about men. But the fact is that part of the mission of the foundation also is to educate the public about the fact that women have always served in the military from the American Revolution on up without recognition, and most of the time, and that they're still not valued and recognized the way they need to be. And therefore, a lot of the services are still geared specifically towards male issues and not necessarily female issues. But military sexual trauma is a huge issue for the women.
I know from my own experience here at the Visiting Chef Program, when we have chefs come in and do dinner for the families, I'm very specific with the chef to let them know the warrior is the woman. So they just assume, like most of the population, that if you're a veteran, it's the guy who's the veteran, not the woman. And we're very keen on making sure that everybody's aware that the veteran who's been invited to stay with their family is the wife or the spouse. So I understand that issue. I really do. And well, we know that women veterans are underserved. And along those lines, what do you think are the key barriers to women veterans receiving services, either at a state level or through the VA or other veteran service organizations?
Well, I can only tell you what the women tell us and consistently tell us for all of these years now that we're focusing on the women veterans, is that they are not asked what they need a lot of times. And then the other issue is that they don't feel welcomed. So when they go a lot of the women veterans do not go to the VA. Now, we have nothing against the VA. We think, they do some great work. And so this is not any kind of casting aspersions on the VA, but I'm only telling you what the women tell us, is that they don't feel welcome. They don't feel heard. I'll give you an example. I was going to a meeting at a VA, and I was waiting in the lobby for the person that I needed to speak to. And a man and a woman came in, and the person at the desk who works at the VA said to the man, he asked him, what branch of service and what kind of thing. And it was the woman who was the veteran. That was her husband who was just coming in with her to be with her. And so, again, it's that lack of recognition. It's the lack of, if you're not even recognized at the VA, then they're not really going to necessarily listen to what you need, because they don't recognize you for your service. So I think that's a huge issue, is that the women don't feel like they're heard. And if they are, if they're willing to speak up, they don't know really who to speak to. I keep hearing a lot about the fact that obviously it's a bureaucracy and there's so many levels and nothing ever gets done. And one of the women who comes to our programs the other day, she wrote to me and she said, I am so disgusted. She said, she filed a claim, and this has been 10 years and it was denied again because I don't know, something was missing from the claim or some other thing that she needed to have, but she's followed everything right through 10 years waiting. I think that's the frustration for a lot of women, that they just, after a while, give up. They might not even start because they don't feel welcomed, but if they start, that it is such a quagmire to get something really done that they just give up. And that's why you wind up with a large number of women who are unemployed or underemployed or have post-traumatic stress and don't get the help that they need, or that the suicide rate is so high.
Since we know that female veterans are underserved on a state, local, and federal level, when we think about veteran service organizations out there that may want to try to focus some of their resources on women veterans, what would you say to them is the best way for them to build trust with women veterans?
I think it's really important. I have to say, I have to put in a little plug for New York State. I have to say that the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs for New York State is a woman. And that doesn't mean to say that a man can't be understanding of women veterans and all of that. So I'm not looking at it that way. She just happens to be a woman, and a fabulous woman. And so she has made a real effort to reach out, to find the women, first of all, because women don't come forward. You know, a lot of times you see this yourself, is that men will wear some insignia that says that they were in the military, or a hat, they'll wear a jacket, they'll wear something. The women don't do that. And matter of fact, I just need to tell you this quick story. I was at a meeting and for Vietnam veterans, and I happened to be the only woman in the room. And so there were, I would say, a good 30 people, 30 men and myself. And the mayor of this particular city went around to thank each person for their service. And when he came to me, he just skipped right over me. He just assumed I couldn't be a veteran. And he didn't ask. He didn't say, you know, what are you here for? Nothing. He just skipped over and made that assumption. So I think it would be really valuable for people to find out who the women, where they are, who they are, and to make sure that they actually reach out to them and want to hear from them and want to hear their stories and want to see what they can provide. It doesn't have to be involved with a lot of money. It's really making the time to actually hear their stories and to understand what they have provided us without really a lot of support.
Well, listeners, you got to check out the webpage, giordanofoundation.org. Please go to it. Check out all their resources. Share that webpage on all your social media. Send that link to your battle buddies, to relatives, to friends, anybody you know who's a woman veteran, and have them take a look at it. And maybe it's not for them, but they may know somebody who really does need the help. So it's giordanofoundation.org. While you're there, bang on that donate button, make a donation, help them out. This is a great way to help the women veterans that you served with. Please.
Can I also say one other thing, is that 100% of the money that comes into us goes to our programming. We don't put anything into, we absorb all of that all of the cost of, you know, things like we choose not to have an office, for example, because we don't want to spend money on rent and things like that. We want to put 100% of the money into the programming and the needs of the women veterans.
Well, we certainly wish you all the luck in finding that retreat center. And, you know, the work that you all are doing is just phenomenal. We can't thank you enough for doing
Larry,
that.
We have to thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak to you. This was wonderful, and we really appreciate it.
Well, hopefully we'll get some of our women veterans to reach out to you. Again, it's giordanofoundation.org. And thanks so much for coming on as a guest today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, listeners, we'll have another episode next Monday morning at 0500. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. We're on YouTube and Wreaths Across America Radio. So until then, thanks for listening.
The Welcome Home podcast is brought to you by Willing Warriors, a nonprofit organization serving active duty service members and veterans since 2012. To learn more, please visit our webpage at willingwarriors.org.